The secret of effective online teaching: stop teaching. Yeah, that seems a little bit crazy. Why am I saying that? Well, hopefully you're going to see why in a minute. Very quickly, I saw that the other day, and it was the toilet of the future. So I was like, oh, that's rather interesting. The toilet of the future. And maybe we would have laughed at that.
The ethical standards of the profession. And in reality, I've heard that social work kind of has very high standards and like good standards in terms of things, and that oftentimes people don't, like people of other professions don't have. Yeah. Hold on. What happened?
I don't know if you noticed what happened there, but if you are looking closely, that's someone was using their Zoom on the toilet. And I think that the toilet of the future is actually already arrived. And some of us unintentionally are going into the bathroom or something with our Zoom while in a meeting, or maybe even while teaching, and leaving our cameras on. So I think in many ways the future arrived, and we weren't quite ready. We were thinking the future was coming soon, but it arrived just before we thought we could prepare for it. And I think that's been quite traumatic for a lot of people, having to suddenly teach in a new way when we weren't expecting it. Very quickly, it's very difficult to try and see the future and predict the future. It's something that's not easy. But what I found interesting is probably 8-9 years ago, I remember doing a seminar at the university, trying to warn the university communities that there was this avalanche coming. And my reasoning was around the fact that students have changed so much, learning has changed so much, and if we don't change how we teach, we're going to get swept away. What I didn't see was that the avalanche was not necessarily going to come just because of students' discontent. It was going to come in the form of a coronavirus. And that just hit us out of nowhere. If in January I told you it'd be in a situation like this, we would never have believed it. And so that avalanche came so quickly, and all of a sudden there were 60 million educators who were scrambling to try and teach 1.37 billion students online. And that is huge. That is an avalanche of epic proportions. And that's exactly what happened. We ended up in the stage where we didn't actually know what was going on, where all of a sudden we've got this teaching and this learning, and we've got to teach in a new way. And so it's a tricky situation, and we need to try and adapt to what's quickly becoming a new normal. So what do teachers do? What do we all do? Well, crazy teachers as we are, we just say we've got to do it, and we just leap in. And we leap into this new crazy world of online teaching because, I mean, after all, what option did we have? We had to try and teach in this new way. And so we've leapt in. But the scary part is the headlines are full of things like this. Remote learning is failing. Millions of students or billions of children might never return. AWOL students, my kids are flunking. The whole thing is failing. And that's very concerning because we've had to leap in. We had no option, but the results are disappointing. The results are not what we had hoped for. And it doesn't look like things are going to change anytime soon. We're still in this situation. We're still having to teach online. And increasingly, we've got this problem that it's not looking effective. So that brings the big question. Why? Why is it that it's not working? I mean, we've had quite a lot of time to think about teaching with technology. It's not like it's a new thing. The concept's been around for a while. Many of us have maybe brought elements of blended teaching and learning into the classroom, but why is it not working? Why all of a sudden, when we really have to do it, is it not working? One of the reasons I believe is because of Pedagogy, which obviously you all know what that is. Yes, of course, or not. Probably not, because that's a word I made up. And what it means teaching-induced sleep. This is where people our students are put to sleep because it's boring. We're boring. Or we're going on too long, and you know what it's like. If I carry on doing this hour after hour, it's boring. Doesn't matter how engaging we are as teachers, it's just something that is difficult to concentrate. It's one thing trying to concentrate in a live session, even harder online. The interesting thing is, when you look at this picture or painting from the mid-14th century at the University of Bologna in Italy, have a look at that person down there. They're sleeping. Pedagogy. This is not a new problem. But in fact, if you look at the class, they're not chatting. That one's on his device. They're chatting to each other, also on his tablet, his iPad, probably on Snapchat or something over there. No one is actually interested. I mean, the only person interested looks like the fellow down the bottom left here who's probably the tutor or something. No one's interested. And so we're in a situation where when we look at our modern students, at a modern teenager, all the way up to young adults, in an average day, they're exercising for about an hour. They're at school for about 6 hours traditionally. They sleep for 7, and they're on technology for 9 hours of the day. So we have a group or a cohort of students who are technology crazy. And so when we try and connect with them in ways that don't match that, even if we're using the technology, if we don't use them in ways in which they are comfortable and excited with, we very quickly lose them. And therein lies the big challenge. And so there was an article that came out not long ago, I think it was published by Microsoft possibly, who said that the current attention span of a human is now less than that of a goldfish. And that's quite something, because I don't think a goldfish has a particularly long attention span. So we lose interest quickly and we move on to new things. So what's going wrong? Well, I want to put to you, there are two simple things that we need to look at. And I've got a very simple model. I call it the data model, the digital age teaching approaches. Now, when it comes to teaching, there are essentially 4 ways in which we can do this. There are 4 ways in which we can approach what we are doing right now. Now, the first is teacher-directed. What I'm doing right now is teacher-directed, passive, because you on the other side are not doing anything besides sitting there and going, oh, it's quite interesting. Pass me another glass of water, and that's it. Now, this is traditional teaching. What I'm doing right now on Zoom is traditional teaching. I've just taken what I would have done in the classroom and put myself behind the screen, and I'm doing traditional teaching. I'm going to put it to you that what I'm doing right now is not very effective, and I'm going to show you how we can change it. What would be much better is if I'm going to use what I'm doing right now, teacher-directed instruction, that it mustn't be passive, it must be active. I must find other ways of taking this and empowering it and engaging you. Because me sitting here and you sitting out there somewhere and not being able to connect, besides being really lonely for me, is not very effective for your learning. Well, the other side of the coin is not the teaching side, it's the student-directed learning. But this too can be very passive. What we can do is we can send content home to our students through an LMS, a learning management system, whether it be Moodle, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, etc., and expect them to read the stuff, expect them to watch the videos. That too is boring. And we very quickly find out that our students are not engaged and they just don't look at the content or they don't comment on the content, and we're not even sure if they're there. They are AWOL. Well, actually what we'd rather have is student-directed but active. If they had content that we'd given them that forced them to engage with each other, with us, by creating content, by getting involved in conversations, all of a sudden we change the game. And so what I want to show you today is how this right-hand side, whether we are teaching or our students are learning, has to be active. Even more so today than ever before, because now we're behind glass. And it's one thing to be in the same room as people and they can feel your energy. But when you are disconnected, when you are behind technology, we need to have some special tools in place. And the bottom line is it's all about activity. And I'm about to run an experiment on you. I'm going to let you experience this firsthand, because there's an old saying, eat your own dog food. Bottom line, if you're making a product, if you're selling a concept, experience it. Allow people to experience it. I must experience it myself. And that's what I want you to do. And it's all about joining the right revolution. Now, most of you have probably heard of the fourth industrial revolution. That's what we're living in today. It's this new revolution of technology and everything that's come with it, from AI to the bots to all the amazing things that are around. Well, I want to tell you about the fourth education technology revolution. And it's one that most of us as educators have missed. Not because it's complex, not because it's something we don't know about, but we've been slightly deceived and we've missed the fourth education technology revolution. Let me show you what the four revolutions are. Way back, thousands of years ago, before there was really any sort of cool technology, or any technology for that sake, most learning was oral. So people would sit around the campfire and they would discuss, or the wise dude, he would be the one, or dudess, would be the one sharing everything, and that's how learning would happen. It was the oral era. Well, somewhere along the line, a device was invented so that you could write. Obviously, the first one might have been a quill, or it could have even been a little stylus where you poked into some clay, and ultimately a pencil and a pen. And we entered a new era where you could record things, and that was the textual era. Great tool. Then, a few hundred years after that, another great EdTech invention, the printing press. And this brought about the print era. And we had content that we could print and disseminate and reproduce and disseminate. And we ended up in this era where we find ourselves a lot today, where our students are in the view that it's all about content that they read, that they replicate and give back to us. And so that is this print era. The third EdTech revolution was the computer. And we entered the digital era, and all of a sudden, wow, PowerPoint. What am I using right now? PowerPoint. It's so exciting. And we had all these cool things that we could do, and even ebooks. Wow, those are so cool. And smart boards, it's digital. And we had all this technology. And this is where most of us as teachers are. Because obviously, there's nothing after that, is there? I mean, you're not expecting me to use AI or something in my classrooms. No, I'm not. But there was another EdTech revolution that followed shortly after this one, and it's one that most of us know about, but didn't think that we're not part of. And the fourth EdTech revolution was the internet. And this brought about not the digital era, but the connected era. It brought us into an era where all of a sudden we could shift from being passive in our teaching and learning, as the digital era was, and as the print era was before that, to be active, almost like the original oral era was. All of a sudden, the connected era, social media, everything was around conversation. It was around this massive conversation that's going on. And what is conversation? Conversation is active. And that is what the internet has allowed us to do. Now, how I am using Zoom right now at the moment, I am using it as though I'm part of the third era. I'm using it as a digital tool. There's no activity. I mean, maybe you can put the odd Q&A in there, but it's very limited. I'm not using it in an effective, connected way. And so it's nothing to do with the technology. It's about us understanding the era we're in and how we should be using that technology. And that's where it's going to make all the difference. And so for many of us, I think we've jumped into the wrong revolution. One of my favorite quotes, when digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. But when it's done wrong, all you have is a really fast caterpillar. Absolutely. And that's what a lot of us done. We've taken all this cool technology, and it's been quite scary, but we've managed to figure out whether we've managed to figure out Zoom or Teams or whatever it is, or some PowerPoint slides, and we've managed to get content to some of our students, but we've become efficient, maybe, or a little bit more efficient, but are we effective? Have we just become fast caterpillars is the question. Well, what's going wrong? Well, we've got all the great tools. There is so much technology. There is no shortage of tech. And it's just coming out faster and faster, amazing stuff. Of course, we've got the content. You've got the content. We spent years developing our content. We've got the content. But those two alone content and technology are not sufficient for us to move into the connected era because we're missing the vital part, and it's the recipe on how to do this. And a teacher talk, we call that pedagogy, because without the recipe, we don't know how to take the technology and the content and make it effective, make it activated, make us connect. Because if all we have is content and technology, we will find that we are spending most of our teaching being in the digital era. We become content disseminators. I hand across content that students passively consume, and it's unengaging. In order for us to get into that fourth educational technology revolution era, into this connected era, we need the approaches, the recipes, the pedagogies, and we need the ones that work. Not ones that we might have used traditionally, because we need a new set that work with EdTech. And so, what's your goal as a teacher? To be efficient or to be effective? You see, efficient is about speed and doing things quickly, and yes, there's a level that we want to do that. But if we want to be effective, if we want to enrich our teaching and learning, we have to have that part. We have to have the pedagogy in there. And so it's vital that if we want to shift from merely using technology to teaching with technology, and there's a difference, because using, I can show you how to use a tool. I can show you how to use Zoom or how to use Microsoft Word. But it's so much different to know how to teach with Zoom or Microsoft Word or a smartboard or a tablet and an iPad. The difference lies in the pedagogy. Without that, we can't shift from being a user to a teacher. And so, this whole first part has been about experiencing the third EdTech revolution. What we've done so far, and you'll see on all the screens, has been a 3R. And the reason for that is because you have been experiencing the third EdTech revolution. And I don't want you to experience that. I want you to experience the fourth. I want you to experience the connected era. And so now it's time for some magic. Right, and I literally mean that. Some time for some real magic. Right, so before I let you experience the fourth EdTech revolution, I've spent years working on this. I've been trained by the best. Now, I've got multiple tricks that I could do. The one trick is my vanishing trick. I can vanish completely just like that. Watch. Yeah, super effective. I knew you would think that one was really easy. Okay, that's not so cool. Right, I want to show you a little trick. So I've got some cards here. Now, concentrate. Can you see them? Right, what I want you to do is choose a card, any card, and you all see them hopefully. Okay, choose a card and commit it to memory. Got it in your memory? Yeah, one card, choose one card. Right, fantastic. Now, don't tell me which card you chose. So I don't want you to tell me which one it is, because I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Okay, I've got a feeling it was this one. I've got a feeling I've got your card. Right, now, let's see. You remember your card? Let me see if I got it right. Your card has gone. Your card is gone? Is your card there? It's gone. Of course it's gone. Yes, I've got it. Your card is gone. I am a genius. I could get a proper job. I could get a job being a magician. Ha, gotcha. I'm in your head. I'm in your head. What did I do? How did I do that? Magic. You know I did it. The whole time I've been flashing subliminally this card into your mind. And I made all of you, the hundreds of you on this webinar, I made you all choose the same card. You have been manipulated. It's mind control. I'm inside. Yes. Think about your PIN, your bank PIN. What is your bank PIN? Oh, I'm getting too many. They got different pins. Okay, forget your bank PIN. Right. Now, for something even more magic. Right. We're about to shift into the next era. This is the era of the connected. So, what I want you to do now is we are going to participate, and I want you involved. So if you're watching this on your computer, you need to grab a phone, grab your mobile device, and open your browser. And in your browser, go to www.menti.com. It's here on the top of your screen. When you get there, it'll ask you for a code. Put in the code you see on your screen at the top there. There'll be a heart when you get there. I want to feel that you're out there. Yes, I am feeling the love, and immediately I'm feeling connected. You know, up to this point, I was like, man, it's so lonely here. There's nobody out there. But now 41 loves, I'm feeling the love. So that's super fantastic. Right. So this is the connected area. So what I'm going to show you is how, using one simple tool, and I'm going to show you that it's not about the tool. It's about the pedagogy that underpins the tool. That's all important. But how using a tool, but thinking about my pedagogies. I have actively thought about the pedagogies I'm going to use for this entire presentation. Up until now, there's been one pedagogy, and it's called the pedagogy of consumption. It's the most popular one. I speak and you consume. I am active and you are passive. That's the pedagogy we've been using up to this stage. Now we're about to shift. We're about to go into the connected era. We're about to be engaging, even though you're not here, even though I'm using much the same tools through the use of Zoom. So here we go. I've got nearly 70 hearts. Fantastic. I'm feeling the love. Thank you very much. The love is important. Where are you from? Let's get a little taste of where everyone's from. On your phone, you should see there is now an option where you can type in a little bar. You can go and type in, and let's see. Right, here we have them. And as the different names appear, what it's doing is it's creating a word cloud. Now, if you know how a word cloud works that the more people that type in a certain city name, the bigger it'll be. Malaysia, welcome. Zimbabwe, nice to have you. India, welcome to the people from India. Right, we've got people from all over South Africa and all over the world. So immediately what you're seeing, you're getting a chance to be involved. You're getting a chance to also see what other people are typing. We are now connected. This is the fourth EdTech revolution. Why aren't we using it? It's so much more fun, isn't it? It's all of a sudden we feel like we together, even though we are all over the world. I did a little trick for you. Why did I do the trick? Well, you see, I wanted to show you some magic. And I wanted to be able to read your mind. But that was actually just a trick. That's nothing important. That's not so cool. This is actually the magic I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you real magic. I didn't want to just show you magic that's these cards. I want to show you real magic. And they are 5 other cards that will transform how you teach in the classroom. They are 5 digital age pedagogies that are much cooler than that magic trick I showed you, because these will transform how you teach and how your students learn. And that's what I want to tell you about now, because this is what's really exciting. And this is the magic of active learning. And so what I want to very quickly tell you about in the next few minutes is the activated classroom teaching approach. It's a model that I developed probably 5 or 6, well, started development about 7 years ago. Then it came through my PhD research. And then subsequent to that, developed this model that consists of 5 pedagogies. Curation on the bottom there, conversation, correction, creation, and chaos. And these 5 pedagogies are extremely simple, but extremely powerful when we apply them to digital age teaching. And the reason they work so well is they were based on 2 things: how modern learners learn and connect in the connected era, and number 2, what technology lets us do. And so what it enables us to do is take tools that we would have usually used in a normal way, like Zoom, and start to say, why am I using it in a consumption way and not in one of these ways? And so it gives us a new perspective of how to teach and learn. And so these pedagogies have a whole lot of activities associated with them. And not only do they make learning effective, they develop 21st century skills. And those are key, because while the content we're teaching is really important, 21st century skill development is absolutely essential. And so hopefully we're going to have a look at a little taste of these now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a taster. You know when you go into the shop and they've got that little taster you can have and you go, that's delicious. Ooh, it was so good. Why do they give you the tasters? Well, normally because they can't give you the full thing. They're hoping you're going to buy the full thing. I can't give you the full extent of what is possible with the ACT approach, but I can give you a taste. And that's what I'm going to do in our remaining time together. Just give you a little taste of what this is about. Right, so let's start with the first one. The first pedagogy is the pedagogy of curation. why is it, as teachers, as academics, as lecturers, as educators, why is it that we feel we must always give the content to our students? And it doesn't matter how young these are, and these approaches have been used from low grades, grades 1, all the way into university. Why is it across an entire spectrum do we always feel we must provide the content to our students? Yet our students, even their youngest kids, are totally capable of curating their own content. They're doing it all the time. Whenever they're on social media, whether it is on YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Pinterest, wherever we may be, we are curating. Our students are curating. They are looking at lots of things and pulling them into their feeds. That's curating. Curating is looking at lots, selecting what you want, and organizing it. Our students are natural curators. And the power of curating is that when you curate, you have to think. You have to make decisions. Do I include that or not? If I have to put the top 3, which would I do? And what we've done is we've shifted our students when we make them curate from being passive consumers to being active learners. Let me give you an example. There's a whole lot of 21st century skills that are really important. And there's different lists depending on who you look at. I want to ask you a question, and this is actually a curation opportunity for you. I've listed 5 of them. These are not necessarily the top 5, but these are 5. I want you, grab your device, you'll see you now can do it. I want you to rank those 5 from the 21st century skill you think is the most important that our students should develop down to number 5. So they're all important, but on your device, you'll see that you can choose number 1, then number 2, number 3, all the way down. I want you to rank from the most important 21st century skill down to number 5, those. So put them into order. I'm going to give you an opportunity to think about that. Okay, so here we have them. Right, the audience, 67 votes coming in. Critical thinking is currently number 1. Creativity is closing in as number 2. Number 3 coming on the right-hand corner is problem solving, and 4th is persistent, and number 5 is risk-taking. Critical thinking is still holding up number 1, and creativity is catching up. Problem solving is coming in number 3, but critical thinking is still, I think critical thinking, I think is going to be the final winner. Critical thinking is still holding. Okay, we're going to say critical thinking is the winner, holding up at 85 total votes overall. So, what just happened? All of you were forced to think about that order. Now, I could have given you that order. I could have said, these are the top 5 21st century skills, from critical thinking being number 1 to creativity, blah, 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 down to risk taking. And you would have gone, yeah, okay. Now, I asked you to think about it. So you had to make a decision all the time, which is number 1. Okay, I'm going to put this critical thinking. Now, which of I think is more important between creativity and persistence? And you were making decision and decision. If I gave you 10, it would have been even harder to do. And now what's interesting, you looking at that list and saying, yeah, but I still think creativity is number 1. Or I actually had risk-taking as number 1. Fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to be involved. I wanted you to be thinking. And that's what curation is about. By forcing our students to select, to arrange, you're forcing them to think. And that's where active learning comes in. And this is just a very, very simple example. There are amazing tools that you can use that even whether you're doing a Zoom session or you're getting them to do their own student-led learning, you can get them involved in curating rather than merely consuming content that we have pre-created and given to them. So curating, very powerful. The second pedagogy, as we go up the layers, is the pedagogy of conversation. Now, it's very difficult to sit, even in a webinar or in a seminar or anywhere, and sit in something like this for an hour and a half, or even a half an hour sometimes. But we can be in a conversation for hours. You can be at a coffee. I remember coffee. You remember coffee shops? Oh, those were the days. But anyway, if you remember coffee shops, you could be at a coffee shop and chatting with your mates there for hours, or around a dinner table, or chatting nowadays just with your family. Why is that? Why is it that we can talk for so long with each other, but not when one person speaks at us? It's because conversation is active. And the exciting thing is, conversation is core to our new connected era. What is social media? Social media. It's about a conversation. There are conversations on every single space, whether it's YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp. All of these spaces are conversation spaces. Why aren't we using them? What a wonderful way to connect with our students and keep them engaged? Well, let's have a conversation. And I'm just going to do something very, very, very simple. I want you to ask a question related to online teaching. Excellent. Right. I'm going to pop them up on the screen. You can continue typing in your question. I'm just going to pop up the ones that we've got so far on the screen. So here we go. Some of the questions that have come through. How do you include all children? How do we test properly? What are some of the ways to keep our students engaged during online teaching? Does it work for small kids? How do you get everyone to answer all your questions? How is online teaching effective? What's an ideal time for an online lesson? How do you get your students to engage? How can I teach online during this crisis when my students don't have access to stable internet? And so these are all really, really good questions. What is the optimum time limit for a video recording that's passive? Great question. What's the best platform to reach younger learners under the age of 10? How do I teach accounting with a board and be able to explain things one step at a time? How do I determine whether the content I created has added value? Will school spaces become redundant? What length lesson is most effective? How to reach a 100 at a time using Zoom? Now, hopefully that one you've seen right now, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're over 100 and you're all engaging. Does WhatsApp have an online tool for full integration, teaching and learning? So many, many very interesting questions. Now, there's one that I've seen pop up a couple of times that I think is particularly interesting. It was asked earlier, slightly different to this one, but the same concept. Will online teaching bring an end to teaching in institutions, both in terms of possibly our classrooms and our teaching in our schools, universities, etc.? Will online teaching bring an end to teaching in institutions? Very, very good question. So good, in fact, that what I would like to do is, put me into that. Right, so bear that question in mind. Will online teaching bring an end to how we are currently teaching? I want you to answer on this screen that question. Do you think online teaching will do away with or change our traditional school model or university model for that sake? Right, we'll have a look at some of the suggested answers to that question that people have been putting through. How do we think that online teaching and what's happening now is going to change, if in any way at all, our classrooms and our institutions going forward? Good question, because we're all going to be in it. So let's see what people are saying. No, we need human connections. No, you can never replace a social relationship with face-to-face connections. Definitely educators are no longer the custodians of all knowledge. Yes, it'll change the traditional teaching model, but will not get rid of it, because there are areas in the world that are advancing slowly technologically. I hope so. We can reach many more students more effectively and efficiently in the online space. Online teaching offers choices to the participants. I think that children might not have to attend school every day. Some could be done online and some could be done face-to-face. More teachers and students will be using more of blended learning than just face-to-face. It will help to continue education. It will divide the content creators from the teachers. That's particularly interesting. You know, all of a sudden, there's a difference between just the content and how we teach with that content. I also thought this is particularly interesting. More teachers and students will start to use more blended learning than face-to-face. I was just in a webinar yesterday. It was a university level webinar, but there were people from all over Africa and Germany and other countries. And there was, in a university context, a lot of these universities were now saying, wow, what we've just experienced in the last couple of months, when we go back, we're thinking that we may end up being something like 20 to 30% face-to-face and 70% now online. So there is definitely some change. I think online teaching will start to partly replace in-class teaching. I don't think South Africa has enough access to resources for it to be a permanent shift to online. So we've got the technological issues. People still want face-to-face interaction, human interaction. My learners are saying, we need you, man. Yes, at university, I see the ability to use online as something that may strike-proof us, as during strike times, classes will simply move online as needed. Fewer disruptions. So we're seeing a range of views here, and none of us really know, but I think we can probably all guess that something has changed forever. Whether we're going to now, when we go back and we do get an opportunity to be in the classroom, bring in more technology into our classroom and teach in what is called blended learning, or whether we're going to start to see new models emerging, because maybe there's a fear that COVID-19, is there a COVID-20 or 21? What do we do then? Are we going to have to now use any gap that we get to gear up for the next? And maybe we're going to start to see moving more stuff online, with the in-class becoming more of an opportunity not to disseminate content, but to enrich the content and discussion and conversation and debate and all sorts of other activities. And so, what have I just got you to do? We just had a conversation. I've had a conversation with over 100 people from around the world in a very simple way. You posed a question, and I got you to start to answer that question. What a wonderful way, an active way, and all of you are putting in your opinions and applying your mind. And that's what the pedagogy of conversation is about. It's about getting engaged because we are active in the learning process. The next pedagogy is the pedagogy of correction. Ooh, one of my favorites, because it requires a little bit of a change of mindset. For us, for many of us as educators, we're so obsessed with things being correct. There's a right way, and of course there's a right way, but actually learning doesn't happen in the right way. Learning happens in the failures as we go through to get there. Learning is not about correct, but correcting. And that's what's so important, is understanding that correction is critical. Now, this presentation that you're watching now, I don't know how many times I've done it, or one similar, and every single time I change it. Why? Because it has to keep improving. It has to respond to what I've just heard, what I've just learned, what's just happened. And what's so amazing about technology, unlike the old days, you guys remember, and this is years ago, remember OHPs? You remember those things? Overhead projectors. Overhead projectors, you had to get your stuff all right. And if you had one that you could print on, didn't put the wrong one in the printer, it would melt, you would print it out. And it was beautiful. Except if some student put up their hand and said, sorry, that's wrong, it was like, no, it can't be wrong, because there's no way I'm changing this thing. And so it was very tricky. But with technology, if someone says, no, sorry, that's wrong, oh, okay, fix it. Fantastic. And that's what digital tools enable us to do. So if they're so good at supporting learning through correction, why do we not bring that as an active and as an explicit pedagogy into our classrooms? Not simply as a summative assessment, but making correcting part of the learning. And that's why this pedagogy is core to the ACT approach. It's part of our learning. And this is your opportunity to see what you've learned. Quiz time. Right. I didn't tell you this because I want you to learn through mistakes, which is okay. I want to see if you've been listening. Yeah, if you've been listening. That's very important. How much have you been concentrating? Because I'm about to have a quiz, and the quiz is on some of the things you've heard, and there may be one or two just other little random type questions. So let me explain to you how it works as everyone quickly leaps in and we can see all the little characters coming in. The way the quiz works is you're going to see a question, and the question is going to appear on the screen, and it's going to say whatever it is, and you're going to answer on your phone or on your device as quickly as you can. Now, there lies the key. As quickly as you can, because the faster you answer, the more points you get. But there's obviously the rub on that. If you answer quickly and wrong, you get 0 points. So you want to be quick, but not too stupid. Okay, so quick and clever, but remember the pedagogy that we're looking at. I remind you, the pedagogy of correction. So I will warn you that I might try and trick those who think they are little smarties. You know, smarties. And they would answer so quick, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know. Yeah, you know, I'm talking about you. Okay, right, we've got 80 people in. Okay, we had 80, we've done 79. Someone said, no, this is too much for me, I'm not going to do it. Lost connection, whatever may have happened. Okay, here we go. Ooh, above 80 again. I'm going to start a couple of questions. I think it's only like 3. And we're going to see who is the ultimate listener, activist, And let us begin our quiz with 85 in. If you haven't joined, that's okay. You can join any time. Most people probably get the first one wrong anyway. Right, here we go. So, as I say, pretty simple. You're going to see the question. You've got a time limit to answer the question. The fourth EdTech revolution ushered in the what? The digital era, the connected era, the print era, or the oral era. You've got 10 seconds left. Get the answers in. Quickly, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Right. Let's see. We had 57 people saying the connected era. Yes. Well done. You were the ones listening. To those 23 people who said digital. Yes. You may be in the digital era. The digital era is what we were doing in the first part of this presentation. Remember the PowerPoint stuff? And I'll go, and you go, how long is this thing going to be? That was digital. Connected is what we're doing now. The fourth EdTech revolution was the internet, and all of a sudden allowed us to connect our digital devices. You people that said print and oral, that was ages ago. Off to the corner with you. Right. Now, let's see what the leaderboard says, because that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Let's see who is leading. Okay, the leaderboard. Now remember, it's to do with speed, so you may have got it right, but whoever answered it the fastest is going to be top of the leaderboard. But don't worry, a couple of questions are going to change a little bit. Here we go. Serendipity, was that like serendipity? I don't know, but Don the Man, those two were neck on neck, 929 points with Natasha Desbert. And hi, Linda Bradfield. Yes, nice to see you here. And others, right. Let's see how we go. Another question. Early days, anything could change. Answer fast to get max points. A very simple one. There is a logo on your screen. Whose logo is this? 4 simple options. No one ever gets this one wrong. That's why I like this question, because everyone gets this right. Always put in some simple questions for your students. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Right, everyone would have got this right. And no one ever gets this one wrong. And, oh, no. This is cringe. You know that little cringe icon, that little cringe icon that you can put on your phone? Oh, man, if you're a teacher. Oh, it's not called WhatsApp. It's WhatsApp. 49 people called it WhatsApp. Someone even called it Phonely. What the heck's Phonely? I don't know. I made up that one. Now, this is not what this webinar was about, but I'm giving you some free advice. You want to look cool. You know when you look cool and you're like with your students and you're back at school at university, something like, I use WhatsApp and Twitter. And they go, what? You use WhatsApp and Twitter? Yes. So it's subtle, but it's important, because when we say the wrong things, it gets like cringe. Right, but 36 people got it right. It's called WhatsApp. And some were just too speedy. You probably knew it was called WhatsApp, but yeah, you were trying to get max points. And so what happens when you try and go too fast? Punished. So did the leaderboard change? Well, Serendipity, did you hold on? Serendipity was up there, but was he the fastest? We don't know. We're getting quite a few. And, Serendipity still right at the top. And Natasha and Kaylee Gale, Dano, and various others on the top 5. Well done. Serendipity holding on with speedy fingers and speedy brains, but don't worry, that will change. Right, get ready. The pedagogy of correction is about learning from, think before you answer. I've warned you. The pedagogy of correction is about learning from, think before you answer. Yeah, they're right. They're rushing in. Yeah, I warned them. I try to warn them. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Bark. Bark. Time up. Okay. Who got it right? Oh, only 9 people. You know what it is when you warn people, and it's like a student. You said, "Please be careful on this next question," and they're like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir." And they go, I did warn you. The pedagogy of correction is about learning from mistakes, and you all chose the answer that had no mistake in it. You're not learning from this. That's not learning from mistakes. That's right. If you're learning from mistakes, there's got to be a mistake. And so if you chose mistakes or mistakes, makes you hungry, you're right. But those smarties, you thought, I'm so clever, I'm really clever. I'm going to choose the correct spelling. You've just gone down. And let's see, did that do something to the leaderboard? Or invariably, this is the great equalizer. Oh, here we have the leaderboard. Oh, what has happened? Oh, Serendipity got it. Well done. Oh, Serendipity, he or she is very clever, but lots falling. Lots falling. Oh, Serendipity still holding with King D. Bang, right up to second place. And Kanyi, Sunny, Kevin, and Natasha, top 5. Right. So that was the pedagogy of correction. But there's going to be one more question at the end, because we need to crown an ultimate winner. So don't give up. Hold in there. There's another question coming up. As we climb up higher to the pedagogy of creation, why is it that we want our students to only consume content when they've got devices like this that enable them to create content? Why make them watch a YouTube video? They can make their own video. Why make them watch a PowerPoint when they can create their own PowerPoint? Because creating is so powerful and learning happens in creating. Let me give you a simple example. Write down one thing you would most like to learn about teaching online. Write down one thing you would most like to learn about in terms of teaching online. Right, let's see some of the things that people have suggested. Creation of content, letting go of being more inspiring, how to make videos, how to connect, interactivity techniques, how to learn without needing to be online, how to teach creatively, how to be a game show host, ladies and gentlemen, engaging your learners to sustain concentration, teaching calculation, stats-heavy content online, how to get all students to be present for a lesson, interactive methods, creativity. Now, all I've tried to do there, and I'm not even really going to go through those, I just wanted to force you just for a moment, and this was a very, very quick one because time is so short. The moment you have to write something, you're forced to think, because that's what creating is about. The moment you're faced with a little blank piece of paper or a little blank spot, the moment you have to enter things in there, what are you doing? You are creating, and creating is such a powerful technique for teaching. And the more we start to encourage our students to create and not just consume, we can totally transform how they are learning. And so very quickly, I've just come into the last pedagogy, which is the one right at the top. And in some ways, this is the craziest. And this is the pedagogy of chaos. Because we live in a world which is like overloading. There's too much information. There's conflicting information. There's missing information. There's fake news information. How do we teach our students to navigate all of this when all we do is give them this very controlled way that you start in chapter 1, you go to chapter 2, you go to grade 3, you go to grade 12, and you pop out the other side, and life will work like that? Because it doesn't work like that. It's all over the place. It's complex. We've got to see the patterns. We've got to understand what we're looking at, and that's difficult. And I find this particularly challenging when I deal with students at postgrad level who are trying to do research and are overwhelmed by the content because it's always been nicely broken up. Well, life doesn't work like that. Have you ever done this? William Dole said, the teacher must intentionally cause enough chaos to motivate the student to reorganize. Give it a thumbs up if you've ever tried to do that, or thumbs down if you've never done it. You've actually gone out of your way to almost mess with your students, giving them too many options. Okay, you can do this project any of these 7 ways. Giving them too much content, making them choose. Giving them a time constraint to do something that can't be done in 30 minutes. Have you ever created those levels of pressure on your students? Because in those situations, clarity comes. And so the pedagogy of chaos is all about 2 things. It's about pressure and perception. How do you get bigger? I'm talking about physically. If you want to get muscles, you're a guy. What do? You go to a gym. Well, in the old days, you would go to a gym and you strain the muscles under a controlled situation to get stronger. And that's what chaos is about. It is a controlled strain. And it's the most beautiful pedagogy when we engage in. And I can see at least 41 of you have said, I've tried it, and 21 haven't. Well, I want everyone to have tried this type of pedagogy. And right now, I'm going to give you a chance. 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes. I want you to write a poem about teaching online. You've only got 250 characters that you can fit in that little box or less. 2 minutes. All right. So I'm starting now. Your 2 minutes begins. A poem about online teaching. It doesn't have to rhyme. It's okay if it doesn't rhyme. Poems don't have to rhyme. Poems are just expressions of the heart. A poem about teaching online. 2 minutes. And there we have it. Time is now up. All right, let's have a look at your poems. Oh, look at that first one. It's so deep. Interesting. Of course, a poem can be so distinct and so small, and you've brought it down. Teacher, teacher, leave the front line and get online. Oh, even poetic. Learn, learn. You don't have to learn till you don't have to wait till the class. You just talk to your friend and keep learning. Learning new things, exciting and scary, putting yourself out there, engaging with pupils, satisfying. Teaching online sounded like a dream, but then it wasn't as it seemed. Internet doesn't have an ending time, and parent became your students too. What a mess. In my PJs, I still teach because teaching online, I can still reach. Teaching online, scary, dreadful at first, but now fun, exciting. Teaching online is fun. It can be done with everyone. It is for you and me. Let us learn and see. Teaching online, I miss my students and coffee shops. Teaching online, oh goodness, oh golly, thank goodness my data's uncapped and my laptop's charged fully. Online teaching is such a mess. It's lots more work and quite a mess, and not to mention all that stress. Thanks, Craig, you're the best. Thank you very much. Put on the camera, all the kids talk at the same time. One fetches their dog. Suddenly you're teaching 20 dogs in the camera. Seeing those smiles and excited reactions, hearing how much they look forward to your lessons, totally worth it. Upside down, things don't work. Pressure, frustration, rage, exhausting, striving to reach a goal, need information. Going crazy in the web, creating content on the web, ensuring everyone engaged, online, inline, and in sync, technology turning around our minds. Chaos correction is the way. Skeuomorph, begone, conversation creation, we shall embrace it all. Some have been on my courses, I see. Pajamas are cool, kids like them too. Learning is fun, kids actually want to run with what they are given. Deep breath, brush your hair, we're alive. Okay, there are some super amazing poems here, and I can just see the creativity. Connect, Zoom, what do we do? It won't download, how can I join? Meeting online is not so clear. Help, doom, loom, zoom, Moodle. Okay, fantastic. What did I want to illustrate there? What you just did was a very, very small example of the pedagogy of chaos, because what you had is you had pressure, and what I was trying to do is get you to take a whole lot of things that might be in your head and distill them down to something very small. A few words, 250 characters or less. And that's what this pedagogy is about. It's about trying to find clarity by distilling. And there's so many powerful ways you can do it. This is just one. You could have created a comic strip. You could have created a word cloud. You could have created a mind map. All of these are powerful tools to support the pedagogy of chaos. So these are the ACT pedagogies, and they really, really are about activity. And so welcome to the connected, to the active era. What you've just experienced in the second part of this has been the activated era, the connected era. So here is, I believe, the final two questions. The piece we miss when educating with technology. Right, let's see who's going to be the winner overall. 5 seconds. The piece we miss when educating with technology. 3 seconds. Quickly. 2, 1. Quickly. Faster, 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 faster. Get your answers in. Time's up. Right. This is it. This is going to be for the leaderboard, for the winner. Well done. 51 people listening. What's immunology? I don't know where you came with that one. Technology. Right, we might miss that, but even with the technology, without the pedagogy, I'll tell you what, we're going nowhere. So well done to 51 people getting that right. No leaderboard. This is the final question, then the leaderboard to see who's the best. The key to being a better connected era teacher is, here we go. What is the key to being a better connected era teacher? Get your answers in quickly. 4, 3, 2, 1. Quickly, 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 quickly. Yes, yes, yes. Right, here we come. And the correct answer is all of them. Yeah. That's the pedagogy of chaos, by the way. When you give a whole lot of options, they're all right, freaks our brains out. So we all got that one right. How are you feeling? Feeling good? You got it right? Well, let's see who's feeling really good. Because standing on the leaderboard, standing on the podium, who is going to be crowned number 1 after all of this? Who is it going to be? Can Serendipity hold on? Can they? Well done, Serendipity, 4,488 points. You are the person. Well done. And there, wherever Serendipity is out there going, yeah, showing their screen to their family and friends. Yeah. Right. We've just experienced the rest of the Pedagogy of Correction, and you're all winners. It used to be no phones within school. Now it's no school without phones. That's the reality of where we're at the moment. And it might change. We talked about that. But the bottom line is these devices are going to come into our schools, whether they're tablets or iPads or laptops or whatever. They are coming into our schools however it works out. The technology is now getting ingrained. Things have changed. And so we need to adapt to new ways of teaching and learning because, well, the future is here. Okay, right. So thanks, everyone. Thanks again for joining. Hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever it might be. It's been fantastic. Really enjoyed the session with you. And I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. We'll send out one. We're hoping to have one next week for those of you around. I'm trying to arrange a very special one with some special guests from the various schools. It's going to be more a panel discussion. We're going to chat about some interesting things. So thanks, everyone. It's been absolutely awesome. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.